guess. I need a little more. Cotton linter's first cut, and it's tough to tear, but it's got nothing holding it together. All paper is like that. You just put it in water and it comes apart practically when you look at it. And if you hold it up, you can see the little fibers where it is. If you want to pass that around, here, that's the bigger part around. You can have a look at that. This is abaca, which is a relative of the banana plant, and it's this is from the leaves, and it's really tough. And tearing it, and you dip it in water for a moment, it just practically there. That's better. Comes apart. You could take that and another piece. You could dip it in the water to see how much easier it is when you do that. Agave plant, or century plant sometimes, I think. And it's got very short fibers, and if you dip it in water, it practically falls apart. So you can see how the different fibers you use affects your paper making. Take your cotton linters or whatever you're using and tear it into smallish pieces about like that. And then you would mix it with water in a pail. I just used a mixer here. And I've mixed up 200 grams of cotton linters here. And it just took about 10 minutes under this mixer. If you're doing it at home or someplace, if you don't have a good mixer like this, you can use something like a paint mixer on a drill, or you can use a blender. But if you're doing using the blender, you've got to use do it a little bit at a time. A little bit of pulp, more water, because you could burn out the blender quite easily. As it is, you're going to have a hard time because the blender is going to get hot and you might have to take frequent breaks. If you're doing it at home or someplace, if you don't have a good mixer like this, you can use something like a paint mixer on a drill, or you can use a blender. But if you're doing using the blender, you've got to use do it a little bit at a time. A little bit of pulp, more water, because you could burn out the blender quite easily. As it is, you're going to have a hard time because the blender is going to get hot. So once you've got your pulp hydrated, that's what it's called, you should add some sizing. And what that does is it makes the finished paper slightly waterproof, so that if you touch it with a marker or a fountain pen, it doesn't suck it up like a paper towel. So I'm just going to turn this on, and just mix that in with this. You don't really need a mixer for this. You could just mix it around with your arm or a paddle or something to get that mixed in. Just give it a few minutes. So again, you can do it with a paddle or a stirrer or your arm. One thing you're not going to get away from in paper making is water. Water is everywhere. You can reuse it to some extent, so that's not a huge problem, but there is a lot of water. See, we've gotten now is a nice pale blue here. Just mixed right in, like that. The tub that you're using is traditionally called the vat. And I'm just going to mix it in so it's well dispersed. And then I'm going to need some of these.
And what are those?
These are, well, the technical name in paper making circles is couches, but this stuff is interfacing. I sell it, or you can buy it at a fabric store. And to start off, you need a thick pad that's quite wet. Okay, and now this part here is called the mold, and that's where your paper is going to be formed. And this part here is called the decal, and that determines the shape of your paper. And you put them together with the screening in the middle and the decal on top. And then you scoop it in and lift it up level and let the water drain for a moment. And there you have a piece of paper. And then you come over here to this stack here. It's actually got a technical name. It's called the post. And you put it down like that, kind of roll it through, and then open it up like a book. And the paper comes off on that. And then you can actually do something like go to one person and go one vat like that, and then go to another vat and do the other end, and you would end up with two color sheets.
Okay.
Can I have more polish?
Certainly.
How hard is marble?
This and if you have a brayer, you can use that to put it on. There. And that'll be dry in a couple hours. There it is. Guess it all depends as well on.
More fragile sheets, they tend to tear.
Yeah, and then you put it down and then you pull it back sharply. Your sheets are fairly tough, or at least these ones are. But for some thinner ones,
They would break if I did it this way.
yeah.
Want me to unplug it? Want me? Is it hot?
Is they make this and they go, oh cool, I made a piece of paper, and then they get drips on it. That can be neat if you want.
Or if you mess it up.
Well, no, I'm showing them about the drips. If you put the drips, if you get the drips on them, it makes these little craters in your paper. Now that can be neat, you might want it, but it will make a thin spot in your paper. It won't really be visible in the finished paper, but if you hold it up to a light, you'll see where it was. So they're called papermaker's tears, or vatman's tears. Yes, Lily, thank you.